Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Brexit Bando, and today I'm going to talk to you about why I'm not hyped for Epic. So, for those of you who don't know, Epic is a term used to refer to a 6mm Warhammer wargame. It originally was created back in the 1980s as Adeptus Titanicus, and then was expanded with a game called Space Marine, which surprisingly added Space Marines. This would then go on to be rebranded several times as Epic, Epic 40,000, Epic Armageddon, before eventually kind of slipping away into obscurity. It had a fantasy spin-off called Warmaster, which was set obviously in the Warhammer Fantasy Battles universe, and was not as popular as Epic ever was, but that would mainly be because Fantasy never really was as popular as 40k was. It also had a much lesser known spin-off for the Lord of the Rings called the Battle of Five Armies. Now, we have kind of had a resurgence of this through two games in modern Warhammer releases, which is the re-release of Adeptus Titanicus and Aeronautica Imperialis. Now, these have had some fantastic kits, and yeah, I'd love to get my hands on some of these Titans and you know, do some really cool painting. I like painting large robots. But I'm not hyped particularly for Epic. For a couple of reasons. Epic is actually a better scale for the sort of conflicts that we are supposed to be seeing in the 30th or 31st millennium, in the Horus Heresy. 6mm means that it is about 6mm from foot to eye on a human being. So that's a little bit different for a Space Marine, but it does mean that each individual Space Marine is a little bit, pardon me, over half a centimetre in height. They come in bases, usually with 5 models per base. These were either long, thin strips, or some people mounted them on round bases. And then you'd have tanks, and instead of buying just like single tanks like we do in 40k and 30k, you'd be buying things in squadrons, you'd be buying companies worth of things, you know, you'd be deploying dreadnought talons, not singular dreadnoughts, because these are supposed to simulate the deployments of battle companies, not squad-based combat. Unfortunately, 40k drifted very close to Epic's purview with things like Apocalypse. I saw an army recently, completely unrelated. It was an army, I think it was on Reddit, might have been on Discord, doesn't matter, not important to the story. And it was an Imperial Guard army, and it was 3 squads of infantry, 3 chimeras, HQ, squad of Karskrin, and a Vendetta or Vulture or whatever, Valkyrie. And I think it was 1,000 points, bang on the dot. Back in the day, that would have been a 2,000 point army. That would have been a fairly, you know, normal army, but it would have been a biggish army. Maybe you would have thrown in a tank of some sort, and that would have been about it. But that's a 1,000 point army now, so you can double that, nearly triple it for what would be considered a normal competitive army nowadays. That's 9 tanks, 3 flyers, and what, 9, 10, 11, 12 squads of infantry plus command squads. That's a lot of models to fit onto a 6x4 board, and it's not even a 6x4 board really anymore, is it? And that's kind of the problem we've got to here. Our Warhammer has got too big, and this is why we need Epic, or why we should have Epic. I'm not a huge fan of big fights like this. I can understand them. I can understand the people who go off and collect these absolutely titanic, pun intended, armies. But for me, dropping you know, 3,000 Marines on a table, half a dozen Titans, 3 dozen tanks. It's just too much. I like, you know, 2 squads of tactical squads, a dreadnought, a tank, and an HQ sort of size games. And to me, that's the perfect sort of army, size-wise, for the 32 slash, you know, 28mm Warhammer that we play. But that's just me. That's not everyone. You are free to, you know, completely disagree with me. Your opinion is your own. But we're about to get epic. And while I've been rambling about scale and, you know, the type of game it is, that has very little bearing on why I'm not really that hyped on it. It's not going to be difficult to paint. You know, I have an airbrush. I can paint any of the legions that I want very effectively and very quickly. Plus, if I ever see anyone playing epic with an unpainted army, you should just be slapped. It's not difficult to just buy a can of colour spray paint, people. Come on. Pull your finger out. But my big problem here is that this is going to have a knock-on effect. This is going to have a knock-on effect with Specialist Games. Because Specialist Games is struggling to meet demand. Oh, come on, stop trying to go to the Q website. Games Workshop. Oh, we've got a queue for some reason on the Games Workshop website. Wonderful. Okay. So yeah, they're not going to be able to hit demand. We currently have the Horus Heresy, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, Warcry, Aeronautica Imperialis, Adeptus Titanicus, Blood Bowl, have I said that already? We have, what, nearly 10 boxed games that are being supported by Specialist Games. At some point, a smaller division is going to have to admit that they are overstretched. If they were looking after 3 games, you know, Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, and Age of Darkness, I could see them being absolutely fine. But at the moment, you have 3 products being looked at, 2 products basically, Warhammer and Age of Sigmar, being looked after by the main studio with the most resources versus 10-ish products being looked after by a smaller sub-studio. When was the last substantial plastic release for Necromunda? When was the last substantial plastic release for Blood Bowl? When was the last substantial plastic release for Heresy? Hell, Heresy hasn't had a news article in a month. We're not even getting PDF rules for things now. So, I get that they'll fold 2 games in. They'll fold Aeronautica Imperialis and Adeptus Titanicus in, so that's 2 games they don't have to look after. It also means that those 2 games are no longer going to get support, and I'm sure there are people out there who enjoy playing just those games. And it's a little sad that they won't get any support going forward. So we're going to get this, whatever they called it, is it Legion Imperialis or something I think the rumoured name is going to be? Okay, whatever. This is just a bad move. It's not needed. 6mm games are not hugely popular in the wargaming sphere. They're popular. But they're not... Like, there isn't a huge unofficial epic community out there. There is a small epic community out there. They're all 3D printing their own models, so congratulations, you've already lost out to the market. So yeah, we're going to get a new game. We're going to get new models, which is going to take production time, production resources, design resources, all away from the other games. And this might sound like I'm just being entitled and moaning because I play the Heresy and I want Heresy to get support, and you're goddamn right, that's exactly what this is. I'm looking forward to the Old World. I'm not looking forward to the Old World getting a splash release and then being drip-fed models that have probably been around longer than some kids who are getting into the hobby now. If they come out and go, hey, we've got a new release for this game, and it's a model kit that I was able to buy when I worked at Games Workshop over 15 years ago, I'm going to be a little pissed off. But if they're now looking after a brand new game that they're going to try to be fostering with brand new releases, let's face it, if they're going to do this and they're going to treat it, say, the same way as Heresy, that means every week they're going to have to be announcing new kits. Every couple of weeks they're going to have to be dropping new kits. That's going to tie up a lot of production resources. That's going to be tying up a lot of writing man hours, editing man hours, rules development man hours. And then to be apparently getting the Old World almost as soon, or at the end of this year is the rumour. I think they're overstretching themselves, I really do. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They did it before. They overstretched themselves. They got too much out. We had Mordheim, Necromunda, we had Battlefleet Gothic, there was Inquisitor, Warmaster, Epic. There was another one, but I can't remember it. That's going to annoy me. There was another specialist kit, but yeah, they had, not as many as they've even got now, and they struggled and they couldn't get the stuff out, and they ended up having to kind of shutter specialist games because it was just falling apart. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for yet another game to come out? I haven't got the room. I'll tell you that for nothing. I haven't got the room to store another boxed game. I haven't got the room to display another army. If the models are lovely, and I'm talking they have to be the cat's tits lovely models, I may get the launch box if it's got, all models I like in it. But if it's just Imperial Army and it's like plastic Malcadors and stuff, it's not really that interesting to me. I wouldn't be particularly interested in that. If it was a load of Dreadnoughts and like a Warlord Titan, a Reaver Titan and a bunch of tanks, yeah, maybe. I've always liked the Epic Armageddon cover, which has got like a Warlord Titan and a bunch of Salamanders underneath him. That's always been one of my favourite pieces of artwork, so I could do that. Then there was the Epic 40,000 cover with like the amazing John Blanche Blood Angels. That was always really cool as well. But I can't see myself doing another game like this. It's just it's too much. So, let me know what you think. Let me know if are you going to pick up Epic if it comes out? Because we still haven't had confirmation. Are you looking forward to it? Are you excited? I got clinical depression. I don't get excited about anything anymore. So yeah, let me know. Put a comment down there. Just tell me if I'm chatting out my arse again. But yeah, I'm just. It ain't particularly my pickle. All right, my name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. Have a great day.